We will be talking about the Cleveland Browns. How they got run out the building. They got run. They got the field mopped with them. And it could not have made for better radio fodder. Listen, if you listen to this here radio show, and I've been doing this deal in the afternoons for over a decade, you do know there's some sayings, some expressions that I have, okay, that I truthfully believe you will like, you will want to use, and I only ask that occasionally you credit me. Okay? Things like, no one gets a second opinion on good news. That's a really good one. Mr. Gottlieb, you don't have cancer. Sorry, Doc. I need a second opinion. Right? You can't fool players. Right? Fans are easy to fool. Coaches, occasionally you can fool. Players, they know. They know. They know who's got it, who doesn't have it. If you don't believe me, go to a practice and ask them. Ask them. They won't play for guys as quarterbacks that don't play hard, that aren't completely bought in. The guys that aren't leaders. Because when, what's the cliche, going gets tough, the tough get going? They read it, they feel it, they know it. Cannot fool players. Here's one. There are no more secrets, only facts yet to be revealed. And if you don't want to get caught, don't do it. Right? But here's my new one, my favorite one. I'm going to use it for a second consecutive day. You ready for it? Here it is. You know how people always say, I hate to say I told you so? I love to say I told you so. Because you know why? I told you so! The Cleveland Browns are what the late Denny Green said, Monday Night Football. They are who we thought they were. And the San Francisco 49ers did not let them off the hook. They took the puppy dog pound and rubbed their nose in it. Did you do that? Did you do that? Did you do that? Bad dog. Exactly who we thought they were. Right? They're new money. We won a couple games after winning one in 2 years. We got this young quarterback. He can say what he wants. He can do what he wants. All that conventional wisdom goes right out the window. You know why? It's a new era in Cleveland. I know that all the other quarterbacks in the NFL are like corporations. They don't say nothing. They don't offer opinions. They just quietly lead and go about their business. But Baker Mayfield is different. Sure, I know he's a little on the smallish side. He's a little on the thickish side. He's a little on the slowish side. But you know what he's got? He's got heart. He's got toughness. Got intangibles. He's a former walk-on. Twice over. Won the Heisman Trophy. He's the number 1 overall pick. It's the greatest success story in the history of college football. But you know what it's not? It's not the makings of a great NFL quarterback. Too much, too soon. And it's not all his fault. Not all his fault. What the Cleveland Browns are is the perfect example of self-representation in a murder trial. I want you to think about that for a second. Look, you can represent yourself. You have to in small claims court. You know, like the People's Court, people laugh at you, or Judge Judy, when you got legal representation. Like, no. This is easy. You just tell your story. They'll tell their story, and I'll decide who I believe. Right? Judge Judy, thank you. She makes $50 million a year. A good gig. It's a good gig. I think her first name is actually Judge. I'm not sure she's really a judge. But if you're on the trial for your life, if you're Orenthal James Simpson, what do? You go and get the dream team. Right? O.J. Simpson went and got the dream team. Robert Kardashian, etc., etc., etc. The best representation money can buy. Do you know why? Because it's a fight for your life. And if you go back and you watch the O.J. trial, if you lived through it, you know they changed it from did he do it to could it be somebody else? Could he be framed? Cops are racists. Cops don't like black people. So, of course, it couldn't be OJ. It could be anybody else other than OJ. There's a 1 in 20 million chance, but there's that one, even if that's a scientific fact when it's 1 in 20 million. But he did so because he got the best. That's where the Cleveland Browns made the mistake. I don't just blame Baker. No, Baker's not as good as advertised, but he's also in his second year starting. He hasn't started a full season in the National Football League. He doesn't have a great offensive line. He's got some talented, big-name wide receivers who want the football. He's learning to play real NFL football, not the oop-de-oop stuff he did at Oklahoma where dudes are running wide open and free. He went on the road and faced a hungry, talented, super athletic, and rested and healthy San Francisco 49ers team. We told you 2 weeks ago this was the easiest bet that Vegas would give you all year long. Nick Bosa should have been the number 1 overall pick, played like it last night, and the San Francisco 49ers, who tanked for a couple years, have been laying in the wait, chomping at the bit, and they made Baker Mayfield look like a former walk-on quarterback. But it's because their head coach hadn't called plays until last year. He doesn't look the part. He doesn't act the part. He seems overwhelmed. Right? And also by hiring him, they lost their defensive coordinator. It doesn't mean they wanted to keep him, but they didn't have a choice because they chose sides. And if you want to represent yourself, if you want to have a young, unproven coach, you can't do it on a team that has high expectations. Even Kyle Shanahan on the other side, right? You sit there and go, man, Kyle Shanahan looks like a really good coach. He does. Do you know why? He got 2 years to work on his head coaching craft. He didn't just get the job with the Niners. When he got the job with the Niners, they were in tank mode. They were in rebuild mode. So he could work on game plan, so he could try some stuff. So when he got a team that was legit, he knew what to do and when to do it. And he'd create a culture within the locker room. And he called plays before he got there. So he had years of experience of being around the NFL, watching his dad as a head coach. He is a former player. Then, at a very young age, he becomes a coach. Then he starts calling plays. Hell, he called plays in the Super Bowl. And yeah, he blew a 28-3 lead because he wouldn't run the football. But you only learn that lesson once. Then he gets the job with the Niners. He wouldn't have been hired for the Niners this year. He was hired for the Niners 2 years ago, where he could figure some stuff out. This dude, Freddie Kitchens, was hired for a team that won 7 games, and the expectations were to win 10, 11, 12. And he hadn't coached a day in his life at that level. What the Browns hiring Freddie Kitchens amounted to is you're on a trial for your life. Windows aren't open very long in the NFL. You kidding me? Ben Roethlisberger's out for the year. The Bengals are right there with the Dolphins, the worst team in football. The Ravens, frankly, are in rebuild mode, and they're trying to figure out if Lamar is good enough, but this is not a great Ravens team. You beat the Ravens. You dominated them. This is your division to win. The AFC is down. Right? Kansas City's banged up. Tom Brady's 75 years old. I mean, how winnable is the AFC? The Buffalo Bills are sitting there, 4-1? You have a small window where Odell Beckham Jr. is on board, Jarvis Landry's on board, all these guys are on board. And you hire a guy who's frankly not ready. It doesn't mean he won't ultimately be ready. Doesn't mean that in 2 years he won't have the experience and understand what he's doing and create a culture, but you ain't got 2 years. Because the NFL, as we've been told my entire lifetime, stands for not for long. And when you self-represent at a murder trial, this is what happens. The Browns have had a series of 1 year, 2 year coaches. They're not known for being patient. They finally think they have players. They finally invest in free agents. They finally feel like they've drafted well. There's energy. The division's down, and this is the egg that they lay. The quarterback looks like he's regressing. We haven't heard the negativity from the wide receivers, but it's coming. The offensive line isn't blocking anybody, and they got utterly and completely embarrassed on national TV. If OJ would have represented himself, he would have still been in jail serving consecutive life sentences. No question. But he got the best legal team money could buy. And he got off. And if you look around the National Football League, teams that are ready to win, it's different if you're in rebuild mode. Like you're Cincinnati, they hire a young coach, like whatever, they weren't winning this year anyway. Teams that are ready to win, you better hire a coach that's done this before. You better support, especially when you don't have a quarterback who has number. It's not like look, at least Green Bay may have hired a coach that's never really done it before, only called plays for a year, but one, at least he called plays for a year, and two, at least you got a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl before. You got a quarterback who hasn't started for 16 games. You got two wide receivers who are buddies but had never played together in the pros. You got an offensive line where you trade away one of your best players. And you got a head coach who hadn't called plays for an entire season yet. What did you expect? So, in addition to the sayings that I love, no one gets a second opinion on good news. Can't fool players. There are no more secrets, only facts yet to be revealed. Add this one to it. I love to say I told you so. Because I told you so. Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus, everybody else who's awesome here in Fox Sports Radio.